Everything we celebrate in this country is ass backwards, says Briggs, one half of hip-hop duo Aboriginal. We're talking about Australia Day, or Invasion Day or Survival Day to many Indigenous Australians, and the Change the Date campaign. They tell us to get over it, forget it and move on. Move on? Well, Gallipoli was about 100 years ago, so let's move on from that too. But no, that's Aussie spirit. We're at a favourite haunt of Briggs's, in Moonee Ponds the Rayup, owned by one of his old mates, Joe, from his hometown of Shepparton. Briggs has a speciality order of smashed avocado with salmon and bacon, and I get the crispy chicken tacos. It's just before Christmas and the end of a huge year for Briggs. Aboriginal won ARIAs for Best Urban and Best Independent Release for their hard-hitting album Reclaim Australia, took out 6 awards at the South Australian Music Awards. Triple J named Reclaim Australia its Album of the Year, and they became the first Indigenous act to win the $30,000 Australian Music Prize. I'm appreciative of the recognition, but I don't really think about awards, he says. They mean more to his friends and family. They get to say, we bet on him and he won. Attending the ARIAs was alright, bunch of nice people, good performances, but Briggs hates getting dressed up. Despite his GQ magazine award for Agenda Setter of the Year. Wait, GQ magazine? I know, right? I'm a real tracky pants guy. But they bought me the suit, he says. And he got to keep it. They had one picked out and I was like, yay, that's alright, but I'd like a Hugo Boss one. Briggs, real name Adam Briggs, likes to take the piss, but the GQ award might just be the perfect summation of what the Yorta rapper, writer, sometime actor and record label boss he founded Bad Apples, an all-Indigenous label, in 2015, has achieved in recent years. He's been a driving force in the national conversation about systemic racism and a champion of Indigenous music, at once winning plaudits and pissing people off. He's used to that part though, he still regularly encounters whitesplaining. People tell me if I didn't swear so much, maybe I'd reach more people, he says. Would you tell Kanye West or Eminem he can't swear? Even on Instagram he's been told not to play the race card, most recently, hilariously, over a photo of a burger he designed for NAIDOC Week. He shows me the message comparing veganism with the Indigenous struggle. How can you equate the two things? You're a vegan, not a being savior. That's a culinary being decision. Oppression, he reckons, is the final frontier for some white people. They've got everything and now they need that. I'd rather deal with blatant right-wing rednecks than being bleeding heart left-wing as who can be just as bad. When Aboriginal released the single January 26 in mid-2016, the politically charged call to arms ultimately contributed to youth network Triple J's decision to shift its Hottest 100 music poll, which, since 1993, had broadcast on Australia Day. There's also a certain irony that the song reached number 16 in the poll last year. But the song also received instant backlash. It was a real thorn for a lot of people. They felt it was an attack on them, he says. Aboriginal style feels fresh in the Australian musical landscape. We've never had an Australian equivalent of Public Enemy or NWA. Our protest music has historically been much more polite. None of this is new, but the way we've tackled it's a new conversation, says Briggs. All the conversations before us, as awesome as they are, were always an almost mournful tone, rather than an aggressive you. But we're like, we will overcome, we will survive the struggle. Briggs and Trials Daniel Rankin, the other half of Aboriginal, stand on the foundation of those stories, he says, to say whatever we want. Because if we can't say whatever we want, what's the point? We might as well go home. Indigenous people, he says, particularly in the public realm, once they're finally allowed in, are expected to be polite and thankful. You're expected to be thankful for the pittance you're given rather than aspiring to more and wanting equality, he says. Nowhere is perfect, but here is like a special in problem. There's no true acknowledgement. And acknowledgements at the start of public speeches don't cut it. That should be a given. It shouldn't have to be a chore. While he reckons eventually the date will change, it will be driven by councils first. It's got to start small, as it has done, and then it will grow. What is it that stops us all from celebrating Indigenous culture? Surely the oldest living culture in the world is something we could all celebrate together? That would mean an acknowledgement of whose land it is, and they can't do that, he says. You'd think that that'd be something to celebrate, right? But no, F. ing.